Dazzling looks, then swift.
Halfway through that first innings, around dinner time in Australia, it must have been a nervy meal for many out there, because Sri Lanka were looking set for the kind of total that would have put Australia under immense pressure to stop themselves from a third loss in a row. But all that has changed in the next hour and a half or so, and Australia can breathe easy for now. Sri Lanka have gone from 157 for 1 to 209 all out. That leaves Australia with 210 to win in Lucknow to get their first win of the 2023 Men's ODI World Cup. Welcome to ESPN Cricinfo Match Day, presented by Maruti Suzuki Arena. We're in the company of Deep Das Gupta here in our studios, and Parvez Maharouf and Tom Moody. For large parts, or at least at the 25th over, I thought none of you will be close with your prediction, and Sri Lanka will far overshoot it. As a result, they far undershoot it, and Tom Moody ends as the winner for the day, with his 241 being the closest call to the final score. But let me start with you, Parvez, because that collapse is the big story of this first innings. We've spoken through the Asia Cup and the first two games of this World Cup that generally it's the top order. The openers have not been giving a good start. For once it happens. I think the last time there was a 50-plus stand for Sri Lanka against a top 6 team, you had to go more than a year back. They got that, but then everything else just fell apart.
Absolutely a pathetic batting display after the first wicket fell, got to be said. Because when you win the toss, bat first, just what the doctor ordered, first wicket down at 125 in 21.4 overs or something like that. And, batting so well. And all of a sudden, 4 wickets just fall in no time within 8 overs. So, if you want to compete and contest in world events such as the World Cup against top quality teams, you cannot be playing these kind of cricket, which is not acceptable in my opinion, because good batting conditions, Australians are under pressure with the past performances, and all of a sudden, they looked $1 million team. So just a matter of inexperience shown in the batting display, as well as some of the stroke making was questionable, some of the planning were questionable, but full marks to Australia. They came out with a plan. They never let go after the first 21 overs. They always stayed in the game. And the big difference for me was the fielding display. A lot of energy, good catches being taken. And this is what can happen, change of momentum from a good catch. And all of a sudden, that can be seen quite regularly.
Yeah, Tom, we have a lot to dissect from that first innings, but before we get into that, your overall assessment of how that innings played out. As Parvez mentions, some things turn around and then the rub of the green just changes. Catches being taken, 50-50 calls going your way, and direct hits landing as well.
Yeah, well, certainly the first 20 overs looked like it was deja vu for Australia. It looked very much like the first 2 games. They looked flat in the field. They were sort of lacked, I suppose, that spark that you're so used to seeing in Australian sides. But when you're in a situation where a team is down on confidence, which the Australian team is at the moment, if you only look at their ODI form over recent months, it's not the most compelling form going into a World Cup. You need certain things to turn, and you need certain people to stand up to be counted and show leadership. And for me, the 2 most important things to begin with was Pat Cummins and the way he bowled, and with the intensity that he bowled. I thought he really stood up as a captain today. He bowled with, it looked like an extra yard of pace. He was hitting the bat harder. He made some good changes, tactically with, keeping the rotation of the bowlers. And the other part to that is the catching, and that was David Warner. David Warner, senior player, showed that what's important, if I can make that extra yard, take a good catch, how that can turn the momentum for the team. So that's where it all started for Australia. And then Adam Zampa, who's gone missing in this World Cup so far, for someone that has got such an incredible ODI record, he then on the back of that jumped on the bandwagon and gained confidence himself. And we saw that same spark that we've seen in Zampa in previous years in ODI cricket.
Yeah, Tom's in a way given us, in a nutshell, everything that went right for Australia as they managed to turn things around in that innings. Let's go at them one by one. Cummins, first up.
Yeah.
Just taking off from what Tom said. He's not played a lot of ODI cricket, which we've spoken of, which then reflects in the fact that if you look at his middle overs numbers, be it this year, in the 4 games he played just 1 wicket. Even if you look at the last few years, an average above 35. But today, there was just something different after the 20th over.
Yes, it was. I think what Australia did really well was do the basics right. Just bowling-wise as well, discipline. I think was a really good move come round the wicket to the left-hander. I think that was a good move. And obviously, as Tom mentioned, I mean, there was this intensity in generally, even though they looked flat, but there was a little more sense of urgency with the Australian side today. Obviously, you can imagine why. But I thought they did the basics right. You know, more disciplined lines, more disciplined length, especially those middle overs. Adam Zampa, I think, was really, really good. Still not at his best, and obviously, I mean, I think he's struggling with that injury to his right hip. But having said that, some other technical issues I think he's working on as well.
Yes, so it was Cummins and Zampa. Cummins did the setup, removing both the openers who'd got half centuries and taken Sri Lanka past 150 for the loss of just 1 wicket. And then it was Zampa. Tom, on Zampa, Deep brings up the injury, and you could see today, every time between overs, a lot of treatment. What did he do today that was right compared to what we'd seen of him in the first 2 outings?
Well, I didn't think he did a huge amount different, because he's clearly carrying an injury where he's struggling to bowl with the consistency we're so used to seeing him bowl. Let's face it, you know, the early parts of his spell, he wasn't as consistent as what he was in the back half of his spell. He gained a bit of confidence after picking up, an early wicket, and then sort of built from there. But I still think he's very far from his best physically, which is compromising his consistency with his accuracy. And that's what he's well known for, is bowling dead straight and being so accurate on length and with subtle changes of paces on that length. So, you know, I still think that, you know, Zampa's a long way away from his best, but I think he's been compromised physically, which when we saw some pictures of him on the boundary line, you know, having ice packs in between deliveries, well, that's telling you something.
The couple of other things, I mean, obviously that could be because of the injury, is the pace that he's bowling. Usually you see Zampa bowl a lot flatter, a lot quicker, but obviously, and not as many half volleys as he's bowled this tournament. So obviously that could be because of that injury. But the other thing, I was like, I went back and started looking at his action a couple of years ago. I think, again, that could be because of injury. His left arm, his non-bowling arm, wasn't using that at all right through this tournament. So I kind of tried to compare his action that way. But if you look at, even in this game, look at his action, his non-bowling arm in the first 3-4 overs and his last 3-4 overs. And you see his non-bowling arm a lot better in the last few. So his pace increased, he was a lot flatter in the air. And and you could see the difference as well. He had more bite off the pitch as well. So maybe that's some technical issues as well that he's trying to work out.
Parvez, did you notice anything which you would have liked to see different in terms of how the Sri Lankan batters played Zampa? You could think of Kusal Mendis' shot and wonder if it was on, given you just lost the openers.
Oh, that was the biggest question for me. I would have loved to ask as well, because he's someone that was in the last 2 games had played an aggressive role. He was just going after each and everything. But in these circumstances where you have a brilliant opening partnership, you just need some calm, collective batting for the next 10 overs or so. And all of a sudden, the ball which was turning away, which got the wicket of Kusal Mendis. So you could have asked the question, but it's a bit of a delicate situation where Kusal plays his natural game, or he just pays according to the team. So that's something that Kusal has to work out as soon as possible, because as I said in the pre-show, that Kusal is at his best when he's attacking. But sometimes you need to understand the situation of the game and change your batting style accordingly. So I thought that was a huge moment in the game, as well as Sadira Samarawikrama's wicket. That was a brilliant delivery, just skid on. Generally, Sadira is a very good player against left arm spinners and right arm leg spinners. He likes to go over extra cover. He's a player who uses the hands very nice to do the offside. To get the better of him was a fantastic delivery by Zampa. So I think this is what champions are made of. When the team is down, looking down the barrel, you need the senior players come and put your hand up and try and perform. That's exactly what Pat Cummins, Mitchell Starc, Adam Zampa, all these guys did. Even David Warner with those 2 catches. So it goes to show why pre-favorites in the tournament was Australia.
Just to add to that, and a question for both of you as well, did you at that point in time when Sri Lanka were 150, 155, think that the batters were looking to get those 15, 20 runs extra, looking at the bowling attack and everything else? Did you see a little bit of extra pressure on them and trying to go harder at the bowlers?
Well, I personally think that Mendes, for instance, is in a hiding to nothing. Suddenly been elevated as captain. Now he's going to be under scrutiny for playing his natural game. To me, that they're two separate things. He's a captain for this game. He takes that responsibility as a captain, and secondly, he's a batsman and he plays the way he's played successfully as that batter. And that is playing that sweep slog. He's done that very successfully over recent times. To me, that was his shot. He owns that shot. Today, it didn't bear him any fruit, but he has successfully done it for a long period of time. So to me, 300 was their target. They were on track for 300. They got the best platform you could ever wish for. So I don't think we can personally, I don't think we can unpick sort of shot selection in that early part, soon as that first or second wicket fell. I think that they still needed to believe that that's the score they can go for. They've already scored 300 twice in this tournament, so there's no reason why they can't think they can do it again, particularly given the start they've had.
What happened once those three and then Sadira Samaravikrama was gone, Parvez, was something that we had brought up in the pre-match show as well, that you did feel, with or without Shanaka, that lower middle order, given Dhananjaya De Silva's form, could have been a concern. And that's where you see, that's one of the reasons you'd attribute to the collapse, a bunch of batters who are not necessarily doing the job at 6, 7 and 8.
And in cricket, they say whatever format you play, you don't want to lose back-to-back wickets. That's exactly what Sri Lanka did. One falls and second goes. I mean, you just can't afford to do that in high-intensity games and high level of competition. And a new batsman coming in, got to take at least a couple of overs or maybe 3 overs just to get yourself in and try and not to give another wicket, because once you lose the wicket, you lose the momentum and the bowling side will be eyeing another wicket. So that's where you got to be a little careful. But number 6 and 7 has been an issue for a long time, and it remains the same, because I thought personally that Dhananjaya De Silva will come good because he likes the extra pace to the bat coming in with the 3 big quicks. Unfortunately, his fit movement wasn't the best with the fast bowlers. He was looking really composed against Adam Zampa, but against Mitchell Starc, after the break, the feet wasn't moving that much. And Dhananjaya De Silva, yes, he's a hand-eye player. He just goes through the line and uses his hands quite well. But in this occasion, after a break, you're coming back, just need to be a little bit careful, and in the end, paid the price of being too casual.
At the moment, if you look at the Sri Lankan squad, Parvez, there are no options, so it might not really be a question. But would Dhananjaya De Silva's spot otherwise be in scrutiny? You look at the bat, it's 422 runs in 19 innings this year.
Certainly think so as well. At number 6, I think he's pretty lucky to hold on to his spot, if you ask me. Being a batsman coming at number 6, they've got that role of finishing off innings, and 422 runs in 19 innings. I don't think, it just shows that he's been in good form and justifies his spot in the team. But unfortunately for Sri Lanka, there's only Dimuth Karunaratne as the extra batter in the team, and he's a top order batsman. And you don't want to mingle with the top order who's going well at the moment, with Tatum and the 2 Kusals batting well in the first, second and third spot. So Sri Lanka is a bit of a situation where they need to take some harsh calls, but I doubt that they will take that call, because Dimuth hasn't played any one-day cricket in the middle order, and I don't think he should be playing either. So, it's high time that Dhananjaya De Silva, being the senior pro in the team, pulls up his socks and turns up for Sri Lanka.
Could yet be time for Dhananjaya De Silva to make an impact in this game itself. We'll come to some numbers in just a bit as we set the chase up. Deep 210 to win for a side that has got all out for less than 200 in both the games. It's just the kind of target that allows the batters the luxury of taking their time, assessing conditions, getting back into form.
Absolutely, yes. They would be under no pressure that way from a asking run rate point of view or a huge run chase point of view. And yeah, enough time and the luxury of spending some time out there, get some quality game time, and against a good bowling side as well. Lahiru Kumara comes back in. Obviously, there'll be good challenge there, especially with the new ball, first 10 odd overs. So yeah, I mean, and Theeksana as well. So I think, listen, obviously they're favourites to win this, but I would like to believe that they would want to use this game as well to get some game time.
Tom, the batting template for this chase, what you'd like to see from Australia?
I'd like them to stick to what their game plan has been from the start of this World Cup. Even though it hasn't been successful, I think now's not the time to change their philosophy around how they believe they're going to win this World Cup. And going into this World Cup, they were very set with a plan, and that was very evident sort of 6 months out, but they wanted to be aggressive as a top order batting side. That slightly got derailed when Travis Head got injured and then Marnus Labuschagne came into the side, so it sort of put an aggressive left-hander out of your mix and put more of a run builder in along with Smith. But I would be very surprised if Australia don't go out hard with that same template, and I'd be also surprised if they're not also thinking that we're not only going to win this game, but we're going to win it well and resurrect our net run rate.
Yep. Farvez, same question from the Sri Lankan bowling front. How would you plan it out? How key does Mahesh Theekshana's early spell become?
I hope that the new ball will be thrown at Lahiri Kumar and Dilshan Madhuska. I mean, yes, Mahesh Theekshana will be tempted to bowl with the new ball by Kusal Mendis, but I just like to see Lahiri Kumar with the new ball bowling at 140, 145 clicks. And we saw some swing and seam movement with the new ball for Australians. So, under lights with some rain around, and if he gets the length right, I think he'll be a handful. And Dilshan Madhuska, he has bowled pretty well with the new ball. He has taken wickets for Sri Lanka with the new ball. So, Kusal will be hoping that Dilshan can resurrect the same form, get the ball swinging back into the right hand, or try and nick off David Warner with the new ball. So, if Sri Lanka to remain in this contest in the first 10 overs, at least a couple of wickets is a must. If not, I think it's a walk in the park for Australia.
I'll just throw a slight spanner into that, Farvez, because the numbers, David Warner against the Sri Lankan spinners. Dhananjaya De Silva has got him out 4 times in 4 innings, and Mahesh Theekshana too has got him out once. Not the strongest. Does that do anything to alter what you make of your plans?
I did cover that series where Dhananjaya De Silva had the better of David Warner in Colombo at the R. Premadas, which was turning and it was slow, and the conditions were quite different. After Lucknow, the ball will be skidding on to the bat. So the conditions will be different. I mean, it's a temptation to bowl even Dhananjaya De Silva being an off spinner, but that's a big risk you are taking against Mitchell Marsh, who likes the off spinners, and he's someone who could thrive in the power play with just 2 fielders outside. So it's a bit of a tricky call. How are you going to go about and try and take wickets? For me, I think I personally would like to see 2 quicks with the new ball running in hard in the first probably 6-8 overs and try and get a couple of wickets. If it doesn't happen, you could always fall back to Mahesh Theekshana or Dhananjaya De Silva.
I think as far as Sri Lanka is concerned, it's kind of straightforward. It's a 10-wicket game for Sri Lanka. I mean, you can't think about 50 overs, there's training and all. It's about picking up 10 wickets, and how you go about it is up to the captain and how he plans it. But bottom line, 10 wickets for Sri Lanka.
Right. So 210 will be what Australia have to chase. I have a feeling I know which way the predictions are going. Deep, do you see anything? Any chances you're going to Sri Lanka?
I'm afraid not. No. I mean, obviously, if had their bowling lineup been with Hasranga and everyone else, maybe a chance there, but yeah, it's a depleted bowling side, so unfortunately now.
Tom, I'm expecting your answer to finish with how many overs to spare?
Yeah, no, I've got that prepared for you. 36.3, it'll be done.
Oh, excellent, excellent. Farvez, heart over mind?
I think either way, the game will be done within 35 overs.
35. Wow, 37, 35. I'd say 42. Let me say 42.
And won't all of us be so happy? A quick game is a good game, don't all of us say? Let's see how it does pan out. The second innings will be underway soon. You can continue following the game on the ESPN Cricinfo mobile app. I'd imagine you have downloaded it by now. If you haven't, please run to the Play Store or the App Store and get the job done. We'll be back here as soon as this game is done. Be sure to join us then on Maruti Suzuki Arena presents ESPN Cricinfo Match Day.
Stunning looks, then swift.